ascendancy. It's me, my alpha baby, Southside, worldwide. While my people dying on the grind high, trying to provide for pride, plotting devise, they trap and divide and capitalize. Stop sleepwalking, lover, open your eyes, scope at the sky, see the stars. What do you mean you can't fly? Propaganda got you thinking fate is homicide, hoping that you see tomorrow. Look at you searching, all up in the church, but the pastor can't reverse this. We all immersed in this. Only we can proceed with the surgical fix. Now listen, open heart like Dr. Daniel H. Williams. We gotta stop the killing, then we can reign like God.
My ancestors woke me up this morning. They said, son, you do know what time it is, don't you? I said, what time is that? They said it's wartime. So welcome to the war front, brothers and sisters. Give yourselves another round of applause. Glad to have you out here. You could have been anywhere in the world. You could have been preparing to watch one of the college football games. You could have been out here doing anything that black people find an opportunity to do in this society, but instead you chose to be here with us in the house to have a very, very serious discussion. Today we're going to talk about Dear Barack Obama. Well, we've heard from the other side of how folks felt about him in 2008. We were all excited and happy to see that there was somebody who looked kind of like us and had a black woman that looked like a real sister. I mean, man, it felt good. A black, not just a sister, but a black woman. Just, I can't really describe what I'm saying, but y'all know what I'm saying. Just black. Not like she looked like she probably black, or like she looked black but don't talk black, or like she sound black but don't look black. She was just a black woman anywhere in the world she would step foot. And so we were just overjoyed. Well, now we've had good old-fashioned 4 years under our belt with the leadership of Barack Hussein Obama. Now we got to go and have a dialogue today to discuss where we are 4 years since that time. So bear with us. We're going to have a good conversation, and we're going to look at the real record and have a very, very good conversation. Want to remind brothers and sisters that we have products in the back. We have the War on the Horizon book. We have the DVD lecture series. We have everything from race giants, talking about the brothers and sisters who fought for the freedom and independence of African people. We have the genocide lecture, the effeminization of the black male series, War on the Horizon, Black Resistance to the White Sex Assault, the book. All of the products are in the back today, so don't forget to go back there and do your shopping when you're done. I know some brothers and sisters, you still doing your Christmas shopping. Some of y'all, it's October coming, you doing Halloween shopping. Well, if you want something for Halloween to scare somebody, go get some of these DVDs and show what these white folks doing to black people. That'll get you something for Halloween. Also want to let brothers and sisters know, please check out the radio station. You go to warnhorizon.com. Then you can go to the sister say you gotta love it. I don't know where that came from. I agree with you. You gotta love it. I feel that same kind of way. But go to the website, check out warnhorizon.com. You can go to the radio and TV calendar page, and it'll tell you all of the scheduled programs. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Some of them are already pre-recorded, and then we have live shows 7 to 9 p.m. on most evenings. You can see what the topic's going to be and check it out anywhere you have access to the internet. So please check that out. Don't forget to do that. Also, this is not just one lecture on Dear Barack Obama. Every 2 weeks until December 15th, we're going to be having discussions pertinent to African people, ending with the lecture on December 15th, the United States of Africa. Why and how? Meaning we got to understand why we got to unite as one collective African people. And then the question is, okay, we understand why. How do we actually go about the practical business of uniting as a race of people for our survival? You do not want to miss this lecture series. We got some big surprises in here for you. I'm not going to tell you what they are, because if I did, it wouldn't be a surprise. But trust me, come on out, tune in online, be here live if you can make it every 2 weeks after this Saturday, the same time, same place, 12 noon. We're going to have some exciting programs for you. Want to again thank our brother Coy Dunston for allowing, can we give him a round of applause here, Secrets of Nature? 3923 South Capitol Street, Southwest, Washington, D.C. Let me tell you, anything you need for your health, the natural herbs, the soaps, whatever you need, the food that's healthy for you, the drinks, whatever you need for the health of your family, you can get it here, Secrets of Nature. The brother been here, I think, close to 30 years or so in the middle of the black community with a health food store, which means that's a serious, committed black man. Allows us the use of the facility for free because he knows, unfortunately, we don't have no money. That's why we're doing a mind your black business, why we so broke lecture in a few weeks, about a month from now, because we need to discuss that. But he allows us the use of the facility for free. So we want you to come down and support him because he gives to the community. So, but we're going to start this discussion now. We have to give a backdrop. It's very important if we're going to have a discussion about Barack Hussein Obama, we have to understand the context under which the discussion of Barack Hussein Obama exists. Let me say what I'm saying. If we just see a quote-unquote black man that won the presidency without any context, then we don't understand what's really going on. And so in order to have an appropriate discussion, I want to talk about something very serious. And I got to say this before we start. For anybody, if you didn't want a serious conversation, I just got to be honest with you. Don't got no good news for you today. When we do Race Giants, we got good news for you. Where's your black God? We can take you back to the ancestors and our story. We got good news for you. Today, we don't have no good news for you. This is a very, very serious discussion, and I want you to make the decision whether or not you want to remain for it, because from this point forward, everything we talk about is going to be very, very serious about the future and the survival of African people. We're talking about Barack Hussein Obama, and discussing that, let's lay the context. The context we're going to start with this memorandum. It's called the National Security Study Memorandum 200. And it was authored and approved by Henry Kissinger, white so-called Jew that we call small hats. The small hat Henry Kissinger, December 10th, 1974. And basically, this document, that is a public document, please go online, read the document. But let me summarize what the document is about and what the purpose of it is. The whites around the world have decided that they want to exterminate black people. Let me say it again. I'm going to make it very simple. They want to decrease the population of black people to DEFCON 0, meaning no threat whatsoever, which means no black people. Now, it's not just no black people. They're also trying to exterminate populations of other non-whites around the world as well. But for our purposes, the most important thing to understand is the threat to our survival is a national security threat that's been publicized, it's public, and it's well documented, and it's known. It is not a conspiracy that's hidden that you got to go find somewhere. It's a public policy, and it is called eugenics. It's the science of racial genocide. They have what they call the Federal Bureau of Eugenics, the FBE. Look it up. And what eugenics is the science of genocide. How do you kill 100 million people without having to go and individually kill each single one of them? That is called eugenics. Well, this is the National Study Memorandum. The National Security Study Memorandum 200 is a U.S. government public document that dictates specifically how the process of genocide of African people in particular and others worldwide will occur. And one of the things they said in this document is that it will require the vigorous efforts by interested countries, the UN agencies and other international bodies to make it effective, meaning the white world, governments around the world cannot just expect America or Britain or Canada to do it. They have to unite as a white world in order to exterminate other populations of people, and particularly black people around the planet. And they specify different countries in this document where they say the population rates are too high. These are some particular countries that we're looking at: India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Nigeria, Mexico, Indonesia, Brazil, Philippines, Thailand, Egypt, Turkey, Ethiopia, Colombia. Now, what do we notice about all of those countries? Black people or brown people or yellow people? Any white folks? No countries in Europe. So in other words, the populations of the black nations of the world and other nations have to be decreased substantially. And now they have to discuss how they're going to do it. Now, what we're going to do here, I'm going to show a brief video. We want you to watch this because this video is not us telling you about the National Security Study Memorandum 200, but this is whites actually spelling out not only what the document was intended to do when it was authored in 1974, but how it has been used since 1974 till today in implementation and many things that we have actually witnessed as black people and seen with our own two eyes. So bear with us through this, brothers and sisters.
If you're going to curb population, it's extremely important not to have it done by the damn Yankees, but by the UN. Because the thing is, then it's not considered genocide. If the United States goes to the black man or the yellow man and says, slow down your reproductive rate, we're immediately suspected of having ulterior motives to keep the white man dominant in the world. If you can send in a colorful UN force, you've got much better leverage. Alan Guttmacher, president of Planned Parenthood and former vice president of the American Eugenics Society, 1970.
4 years after Guttmacher made that statement, America's National Security Council issued a report that was intended to define the United States government's official policy on controlling world population. It was called the National Security Study Memorandum 200, or NSSM 200, and it was formulated in cooperation with the United States Agency for International Development, the U.S. State Department, the Department of Defense, and the Central Intelligence Agency. One of its goals was to establish a strategy for reducing the populations of third world countries so that the United States could have increased access to their natural resources, particularly minerals and metals.
Among the conclusions of NSSM 200 was that no country has reduced its population growth without resorting to abortion. The authors of the report then identified 3 non-governmental agencies that would be funded to carry out the government's population control agenda in the targeted countries. One of those agencies was Planned Parenthood.
One of the tactics specified in NSSM 200 was that we might withhold food aid after a disaster if the countries do not accept the American idea of birth control. And this has happened many times all over the world. One example is the Southern American country of Guyana, which was hit by a hurricane back in 1997. Now, they had turned down abortion and birth control for 12 years straight. But after the hurricane hit Guyana in 1997, the World Bank said, we will not give you any aid unless you legalize abortion and birth control. And that's exactly what they did. I've seen this several times in Africa, where droughts have hit, and the United Nations and USAID will not assist unless they accept birth control. I've been all through Africa myself, and I've seen medical clinics that are full of birth control devices, but no safe motherhood delivery kits. There's no anesthesia, there's not even any bandages there. There's crates and crates of birth control pills and condoms. Now, while our commitment to birth control is going up every year, our commitment to authentic economic development is dropping. So we see less clean drinking water funding, less school funding, see less medical clinic funding. Another example is Haiti. Haiti has been hit by hurricanes several times, and the United States and other countries are saturated with birth control. In Haiti now, any woman, 90% of women at least, can now get access to any kind of birth control they want to, government funded, but less than 20% of the Haitians have access to clean drinking water. Now try to imagine there being a natural catastrophe in a country like Canada or Australia or France or England. And we go in there and we say to them, we're not going to offer you any kind of aid unless you accept our philosophy on birth control and population control. That will be outrageous. But that's our standard operating procedure when we go to a black country after a catastrophe of some kind. You cannot believe that we are going to treat people in a foreign country like this and not treat our own population of African Americans the same way. Consider what happened after Hurricane Katrina. One of the first things we did was bring in birth control and contraception. And as we all know, the hurricane disproportionately affected black families in that area. And I seriously doubt if the same kind of disaster hit a middle-class white area, the first response would be condoms and birth control.
So we want to be very, very clear about what we're dealing with. We're dealing with an organized plan that is being executed for the extermination and the murder of black people throughout the world. And it's not just physically going out and shooting and starting wars. It's a very involved process to try to take our population from whatever level it is to ground zero. And so just to make sure we understand that it's not only being operated like that, and that this eugenics process of exterminating black people has been going on for some time, I want to show you this is going on right now in North Carolina. Right now as we speak, sisters in North Carolina who were forced to be sterilized so that they couldn't have any children are now fighting to get compensated for that. We're going to take a brief look at this clip here just to understand how serious and how involved this is. Not one or two white folks that are doing this. It is a global plan by whites to kill our people. Let's take a look.
It's difficult to talk about, impossible to forget.
I have to get out what the state of North Carolina did to me.
Elaine Riddick, now 57. The man standing by her is her only son, a child she had when she was 14 after she says she was raped. Riddick says the government called her feeble-minded and promiscuous.
They slandered me. They ridiculed and harassed me. They cut me open like I was a hog.
She could never have children again. Neither could Mary Fisher after having 3 children at a young age. She said her doctor enrolled her in a program to get her tubes tied and told her it was reversible. It was not.
Something that traumatic, you don't get over it. No matter how many times I put it in the box, I still brush against it.
The North Carolina Eugenics Task Force listened to these stories as members try to determine how the state should make it up to these victims. Some lawmakers have suggested payment of $20,000.
We thank you, North Carolina, for your apology, but it's not enough. We thank you for the $20,000. That's not enough. You're going to have to look at more. You're going to have to dig deep.
Other victims said they should get free health care for the health problems they had years after and the chronic depression many of them suffered. Yes, it is hard to talk about.
So what am I worth? The kids that I did not have, could not have, what are they worth?
Perhaps even harder to come up with the answer.
It's not hard to come up with the answer. The question is not just how much do they pay black people back. The question is, didn't you hear him say she's sitting down with the North Carolina Eugenics Board? Why is there a eugenics board? Why is there a board to determine how many black people should exist? And I want everybody here to hear this, just so you understand the relevance. If you think they were doing this in 1960 and they stopped their plan of extermination of black people, you lost your mind. If you think that black women were going into the hospital to get basic cysts taken off of their bodies and then were getting their reproductive ability taken away from them then, and that they don't have more sophisticated ways to prevent black women from having births today, hint flu shots, hint all these various new stuff that they giving black folks, then you have another thing coming, brothers and sisters, because eugenics is real. For brothers and sisters who want a more full and involved understanding of genocide and the process of how it operates, we have a 2-part DVD, Genocide. They've come to kill us, in the back. You can order it online at OneHorizon.com at the store. You can order it online, or you can get it here if you're here today. This is a 2-part that deals with the history of genocide and also the many different ways that whites plan and operate the destruction of black people among us today. It's a very, very good DVD series. We think it'll be very valuable to us for you to check it out. But let's make it clear. In order to exterminate a race of people, there's some very serious things that whites have to be able to prevent, and there's some things they have to do. You can't just wake up in the morning and go out and say, hey, black people, I'm going to kill all of y'all. Because if they came and told black people that, we're not the kind of people that's going to stand by and say, oh, okay, that's cool. You start telling brothers you want to take their mamas out and their wives out and their children, you're going to have some fight back. So there's some things in order for this to work that whites have had to put in place. And we just want to mention a few of them very quickly to understand. 1, prevent an international coalition of progressive black people. Why is that so important? In order to exterminate a race of people who are everywhere around the world, they dragged us, stole us, and kidnapped us from Africa, then spread us all throughout the world. Then they realized, man, we made it more difficult to kill them now because they're not all in one place. Now we got millions of them in America, millions of them in Brazil, hundreds of thousands and millions of them in Europe. Now they got to say, how we destroy them? Well, the one thing they can't have happen. Imagine with the internet, if brothers in America and sisters in Europe and brothers and sisters on the African continent and brothers and sisters in Brazil, we just start talking. What's going on there? And we start talking. All of a sudden we say, well, they're doing that here too. And we start realizing we have the same problems. And guess what? We start organizing towards the same interests. So they do not They cannot. They have to prevent us from talking to one another and having a coalition internationally. 2, they got to prevent the emergence of a serious black military threat. And that doesn't matter if it means a military in Africa or a group like the Black Panthers in Black America. Why is this such a threat to them? Black people, we are rhythmic people. The way things work is they might got us all around the world, we down and we low today. One group of black people get up, brothers and sisters get out there and start fighting and actually get over that hump a little bit, and we see success, we rhythmic. 20,000 miles away, we'll say, yeah, we can do the same thing. And before you know it, overnight, by looking at a successful operation from one group of black people all over the world are saying, yeah, now, you know what, we're not going to tolerate this. So in order to prevent a move of black people from getting militant, they can't let one group demonstrate their strength and let the rest of it see it when it happens, because they know it will mushroom, and in pockets all around the world they'll have resistance. Can't kill a people that's fighting back. Prevent a relevant self-help black political movement. I'm going to say it again. Prevent a relevant self-help black political movement. What do I mean by relevant? Meaning it can't just be localized where they can control it. They cannot have a UNIA of the 1920s reemerge under Marcus Mosiah Garvey that's totally independent and black. I'm going to tell you why it's such a threat. Because if one organization becomes relevant to black people, first of all, they can no longer come with the white organizations into your homes and communities smiling to try to help you. You already got black people that will help you. Well, the difference is the whites are trying to help you to kill you. They want you to help. They smile at you and then they find ways to kill you. The black people will come and black people will help you. You don't even want the whites to help you. And what will happen, no matter where that black group starts, they can start with economics, they can start with something social, they can start with anywhere we start. And this was such a threat. Because the global system of racism and white supremacy is so global and assault is everywhere, anywhere you start, it leads you to the next thing. So if we start finding a way to create a nice business where our people are getting in and starting to make money, all of a sudden we start looking at our people's health and say our people are really unhealthy. Well, we got to find a way to deal with health. And then we find out why they so healthy, because we got so many liquor stores in our community. So now that bleeds over into the social thing. Well, we got to do something to get some of all these liquor stores. And then you say, well, yeah, but brothers shooting each other. Well, we got to stop brothers from shooting each other. But we got money over here. Let's give some of them jobs and see if we can pull them away from that. And now everything that they're doing to kill us, now because you start in one place, you start getting a block everywhere they're trying to kill us, because they're hurting us in every area. So if somebody's attacking you on every realm, you can't relevantly attack back and get any room anywhere, because then you'll feel it on every direction. So they can't let one organization get through, and they do everything in their power to prevent that, including COINTELPRO and things of that nature. Prevent the rise of a militant black messiah. I want you to hear this, because I know a lot of our people see our condition and think things are so terrible for black people. The whites are not thinking like that right now. They've never been as afraid like they're afraid today. Right. There's something called the internet. And understand, Marcus Mosiah Garvey was the last leader who was able to impact black people internationally, where everybody, not everybody, but the vast majority of black people on this planet bought into his program of self-help and self-development. We haven't had a person who had that kind of global buy-in by black people since that time. We have something called the internet today. I want you to just think for a minute. If there was one, again, I didn't say black leader, I said militant, meaning, understand, the object is to exterminate black people. We got all the information that we need to know that that's what they're doing. If one guy or woman that wants to fight back gets the buy-in from black people worldwide, any problem we have, that one person can say this is a problem, let's end it, and in a day, the whole world can hear what the problem is, and everybody black can decide to change it. So just a basic fundamental example. If we say that we have a problem, light skin to dark skin, we mistreat each other over complexion, one leader that we buy into can say, we're going to end this today. No more dark skin jokes, no more disrespect for anybody in our race of any complexion. We're going to start that today. No more white doll babies for our children, none of that today. And all of our people bought through the whole psychological framework of black people believing that whites are better than us. We get in that, it wouldn't take but a few months. Everybody around the world buys, and now people are making black dolls. Now, anything that will help to take this a different direction, overnight, it would change throughout the world. there is no way they could possibly keep us in this condition. And most importantly, if there's a person that arose in this manner, they can capture the interests and hearts of our people, then they would have an incredible problem. Because if they did something to that person, everywhere that you find black people, you would have revolt around the world. Never before in the history of the world have they faced such the potential of communication and a threat of black people that can do things overnight and can talk to each other and tell each other what's going on any place in the world. They're more afraid today than they've ever been ever before. What are some of the other things they have to do? Divorce the relationship between black men and women. This is something they got to do. How can you have a black messiah? How can you have a black family structure? How can you prevent people from exterminating you if the men and the women are apart? If the men and women are together, then the men see that the women are being hurt. The men ain't going to tolerate that. If the men and women are together, the women see that their sons and their husbands ain't doing right. They're going to push them men to fight, and they're going to support them all the way there, and there's no way they can destroy us as a race of people that way because we'll fight back. But if the men and women are fighting with each other, then they can destroy the race, and that's why they try to divorce that relationship. Keep black people ignorant, misguided, confused, and hopeless. Very important. The whole entertainment system we see, the hip-hop, the comedians, what is all this about? What does the hip-hop do? I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a do, look at that, oh, she's a this, that, and all it's doing is making black people extremely dumb. Tuned into stupidity. And an intelligent people are not going to let somebody exterminate them. But if your focus is on wearing your pants hanging down and how much weed you can smoke that night and you trying to compete for that, while your attention is there, it's easy for them to exterminate you because they put the death inside the marijuana that you're smoking. So it's very important, and that's what this whole thing is designed for. Hip-hop and all this entertainment designed to keep our people dumb. Therefore, we can't see the assault that we're under. Misguided. You got Steve Harvey. Steve Harvey will tell black people anything white folks pay him to tell our people today. Why does he do that? He does that because the whites have understand. For those of us that won't be dumb, if we are thinking people, we're intelligent people, then okay, this person thinks. Well then, they're not going to be dumb, but let's just misguide them. So they're thinking about the wrong things. They're thinking about promoting their own genocide through homosexuality or gay marriage or any of this kind of stuff. So they misguided, or they're thinking about women's rights instead of black rights. Some kind of misguided focus as opposed to looking at the fact that these white folks are serious about our extermination. Now, once they got us ignorant and misguided and confused, because some people are neither one of those two. They don't listen to all of the music. They're not caught up in all of that. They're intelligent and they're not on the wrong stuff. But it's so much information out there. I mean, there's so many videos on this, that, and the other. It's like difficult to figure out exactly what to do about anything. So we confused. We don't know who the good guys are, who the bad guys are. And then lastly, for people that don't fall into any of that, and this is why I say hopeless, it's very important. For the people who see everything that's going on the way they want to get us, because, see, that means that you got a job, you got a way to help your people, you're in a position to help black people. However, you look around at all your people and you can see the condition they're in, everybody's ignorant, misguided, and confused. You trying to help your own people, they stealing from you and don't want to hear nothing you got to say. And you start saying, we ain't got no chance, man, I quit. You hopeless. So now, the people that can do something are hopeless. Everybody else is misguided, ignorant, and not thinking about it, confused. Now they can exterminate you. Black people get us into abortion, get us to support abortion and birth control. This is not an attack on any black person. Listen to what we're talking about. I'm not talking about what you're doing. I'm talking about what their objective is. If they want to kill us, they can't make all of us have abortions. If they're going to kill us, on some level, they want us to buy in so that we do it for them. They don't have to call us up to say, hey, I'm trying to kill you. We will go and help them in the process of exterminating our own people, not knowing that it's a plan coming from the outside. Get black people to accept interracial relationships. Many black people say, well, no, but that doesn't make sense because for a black man and a white female, the black gene is more dominant. This is what people don't understand. Let's talk about history, not philosophy. Understand the philosophy. Let's talk about the history. Interracial relationships between black people and whites has only led to one thing historically, the extermination of black people. I'm going to say it again. Black people have never exterminated groups of whites through intermarriage. As a tactic, Brazil, in areas of Brazil has been done, Australia, Tasmania, as a war tactic. Whites have taken groups of black people, interracially dated, and exterminated black people as a policy. You can get to death by lethal integration. We show you documented examples where it's happened through history. So let me make it clear. As a historical fact, interracial relationships are used by whites to exterminate black people. It's happened in Kemet, everywhere in the world. Interracial relationships between black people and whites, it exterminates the black race. That's what we're seeing. And the most important one and the big one, this is the big one. They found a major bombshell for black people. They said it's one thing to do all these other things we were talking about, but they said, you know what? We got a magic bullet. Some cracker had a eureka and said, I know how we can finish them. I know how we can exterminate them. If we get them to sexually abuse their own children, and the men are dealing with men sexually and the women are dealing with women sexually, they don't have to have no abortions. They're not going to make any babies. And the people in their community who are healthy, they'll make them sick by molesting them. So if they get us to buy into the sexual abuse, the R. Kelly stuff, and the lesbianism and homosexuality, we produce no children, and the children that do get produced get messed up and violated. It's easy to exterminate the people in that condition. They don't have to do anything else. In fact, I'll make it even easier. They don't even have to exterminate us. Once you got a race of black people where the men think they should be with the men and the women think they should be with the women, you can just step back and let them be what they are. They can't produce anything and they can't do anything but destroy themselves. We are already dead. So they said, let's stop all of this money and energy we spend in doing these other things. We'll continue to kill them in these other ways. Let's focus our major energy and effort into turning them into sexual deviants to stop producing families, decency, and morality amongst their people, and we have killed them. And then it's easy to go in with the guns or whatever else we want to do and seal the deal when it's after that. So I'm going to show you something real quick just because I want you to get this and understand it. They call this thing Planned Parenthood. Raise your hands if you've heard of the organization Planned Parenthood. Raise your hand. All right, you've heard of that. Now, by definition, parenthood requires what? Man and a woman, right? To have a parenthood, right? Because man, woman, child, parenthood. So Planned Parenthood should be promoting, if it's about parenthood, it should be promoting man and woman, right? All right, well, we're going to watch this video from Planned Parenthood that's put online, and then we're going to ask you again, what is Planned Parenthood really about? And I think the answer will be quite obvious.
In 2006 alone, despite having made over $60 million in profit, Planned Parenthood received about $350 million from the U.S. government. And in 2009, Planned Parenthood will receive approximately $1 million every single day from the American taxpayer. That's $1 million every 24 hours. That comes directly out of your paycheck and mine. Now, what you may find interesting is how your money is being spent. To give you just one example, we're going to show you part of a website that Planned Parenthood launched in 2008 called TakeCareDownThere.com. The clip is titled, I Didn't Spew. And I warn you, many of you are going to find it highly offensive, and you're going to find it especially inappropriate for children, despite the fact that is exactly who Planned Parenthood created it for. As you watch this piece, remember, you helped pay for it.
Whoa, guy, where's the prophylactic? What do you mean? Look, oral sex is still sex, okay? If it's unprotected, you gotta reject it.
What? What? But I didn't even spew.
Guys, doesn't matter. Look, if you're having sex or you're getting some blowjays or whatever, you need to use a condom. Because you could catch a sexually transmitted infection, even if you don't spew.
Now, everybody saw that, right?
Now, does this...
Yeah. I know it's very disturbing, but again, remember, this is Planned Parenthood. Most of their agencies and headquarters are in black and Hispanic communities where you can get a cheap abortion. Well, answer me this. If it's about parenthood, why are they showing black men in homosexual relationships in putting that out there. Why? Because it has nothing to do with parenthood. The object, again, as we've been discussing, is the extermination of the black race. But we got to give them a message. You know, we see what they're doing, and the reality is black people, we ain't going nowhere. Matter of fact, I'm going to ask you a question. We're going to do this all the way throughout this discussion because we're going to have to do it because we can't let it take us down. We got to get up when we see what's happening. The object of everything that the whites are doing around the world right now is to commit genocide against black people. So when I ask you what's the object, I want you to say commit genocide against black people. What's the object of racism today, brothers and sisters? Genocide against black people. But we ain't going nowhere. So when I say but, then I want y'all to say we ain't going nowhere. So we see what the whites are doing. It's really not about Planned Parenthood. It's really about what? Genocide of black people. Genocide of black people. But we ain't going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere. I like that. Y'all like that? We're going to do it like that today. That's how we coming today. Now let's get into our topic of discussion because you didn't come here to hear all about that, but it's important to understand the backdrop of what we're really dealing with. Lucius Septimius Severus, Barack Hussein Obama. Why do we say Lucius Septimius Severus? He was a Roman emperor who was part African, part white, and they classified him as the African emperor where he's really mulatto, very similar to Barack Hussein Obama. But the Romans were doing a major offensive killing North Africans at this time. Millions of them. And they knew that they were getting a lot of resistance from the brothers and sisters. So they wanted to let down their defenses when they wanted to come and exterminate these black groups in North Africa. So in order to do it, they put this black man, Lucius Septimius Severus, half black, half white, in power. And the black people let their guard down, and he came in and was more vicious and brutal in slaughtering African people in North Africa for the Romans than any of the white Roman emperors before him. So many people said when he came in office, it looked very much to them like Lucius Septimius Severus. So what we're going to do today, we're not going to be opinionated. Forget my opinion, because you got your opinion too. What we're going to do today to look and discuss Barack Hussein Obama, we're going to look at the record. There's nothing better than the record to tell the story. And we're going to do it in two ways. Because many people know he's been pushing this gay thing for a minute. But that makes black people so angry. When you hear that part, you forget about the other stuff. So what we're going to do, first, we're going to talk about everything he's done relevant to black people. Not everything he's done. Only the stuff relevant to us. Okay? That doesn't have nothing to do with sexuality. Then, after we've gone through those things, not everything, but most of those things, then we'll go into all of the sexuality things to understand who is this Barack Hussein Obama. Is that fair? All right, let's see. Let's start with the record now. Now we're doing the things that don't have anything to do with sexuality. He gets inaugurated on January 20th, 2009. Check? All right, he's in office. First thing he does, walk in office. The bailout, y'all remember that, right? It happened. Trillions of dollars to the banking industries. But here's why that's relevant, because you say, well, why is that relevant to us? Wait a minute. Why was there an economic crash in America? Because these banking institutions did predatory lending loans in black and Hispanic communities. Let me say it again. The economic crash occurred because economic exploitation that occurred from these small hat owned, white so-called Jew owned banking industries in black communities. Here's how this part in the beginning is relevant to you. Just on the surface it's relevant. He gives trillions of dollars to banking industry. They have done nothing but exploit the American populace, particularly black and Hispanic community. They didn't do anything. Listen to what I'm saying. They did nothing to get this money. He gives them trillions of dollars. However, since the reason they said they needed trillions of dollars was because primarily black people and Hispanics were losing their homes in the country because of this predatory lending, that didn't make sense. If you was going to give them the $1 trillion anyway, that these communities that had been targeted for this exploitation, that you would take the dollar value that you're giving them and decrease the amount of the mortgages of those people so they don't have to lose their homes. You're giving the banks the money anyway. The banks are getting paid the money that the taxpayers can't pay for their homes. You're giving it to them. Well, shouldn't the people keep their homes? Right. Shouldn't they? Okay, if you're giving them the money, you're giving the banks the money to cover for the black people that can't pay and are foreclosing on the loans. You're giving them the money anyway. Shouldn't you say, well, dollar for dollar, whatever we give you, That's deducted from how much the people owe you on those homes. Now, if you had a mortgage that was $2,000, $1,000, maybe you could stay in your home. 0% of that. So as a taxpayer, you were exploited as a black Hispanic in this country. You were exploited by these banking institutions, caused a crash in the economy. He pays them for the crash that they created, exploiting and stealing and robbing you. You get no benefit whatsoever. Now, on the surface, that's not that good, is it? It's not that good, but I'll tell you how worse it gets. You really want to talk about how bad it gets. What was he doing at the same time? Do you know in February 2009, the upcoming United Nations Conference on Racism was upcoming? Well, guess what? By April, he made it very clear. We boycotting, the U.S. will not go. Let's see why he didn't want to go to the UN conference on racism. This is a Washington Post article, April 2009. The Obama administration appears to be standing by its decision to boycott the World Conference Against Racism next week in Geneva. The preliminary conference document ran 45 pages and called for reparations for slavery. Stop. The world, the nations around the world have looked at slavery. Many of those nations hate black. I mean, talking about Arabs, Europeans, they hate black people too. But everybody universally looked at what happened to black people in America and said they got to get reparations. You got to do it. Barack Obama gives trillions of dollars to banking institutions that are already billionaires. Small hats who are billionaires are now getting trillions of US dollars. At the same time, he's saying we're not even going to a conference to even discuss giving black people $1 of money for work that we actually did in this country to build it and were never paid for. So there's $0 of our tax dollars that we paid. We paid the taxes, we did the work and never got paid. $0 for us, and he won't even allow the U.S. to go to the conference. First U.S. president to boycott a United Nations conference on racism. The first one to say we ain't even going. We can't get $1, but yet the small hats can get trillions of dollars out the same coffers where there's no money for us. At least, but like the brother said it right. Bush walked, at least he went and said, I'm not with it, I don't agree. This guy says we ain't even going, and talk Canada and other countries, European countries, into not going. Let's go on. That ain't it. He steps it up. And that's what we say, it's the left and a left. You know, when a boxer, you got the Larry Holmes, he got that left jab where they hit you. Black people in America, Obama got like a little left jab. He gives us like pow. He just keep us right there, right? But when he get to Africa, it's always that right body, though. It's that body shot kind of. It's that head shot. It's that hook. When he come into Africa, he comes strong. Let's see. June 2009, he only not even been there 6 months. President Obama slams African leadership. West colonialism, neo-colonialism cannot be blamed for African catastrophe of the last 20 years. I think part of what's happening, the advancement of Africa, is that for many years we've made excuses about corruption and poor governance. I'm a believer, I'm not a believer in excuses. I'd say I'm probably as knowledgeable about African history as anyone who's occupied my office. And I can give you chapter and verse on why the colonial maps that were drawn helped to spur on conflict. The West cannot be blamed for the disastrous policies that have brought catastrophe to Zimbabwe and other African nations over the past 15 or 20 years. I think it's very important for African leadership to take responsibility and be held accountable. Stop. I'm not even going to get, because for my brothers and sisters on the continent and that are familiar with colonialism and the neo-colonialism and the AFRICOM stuff that's going on, I know y'all doing backflips right now, infuriated. But let's just talk basic facts. The economic collapse in Zimbabwe, by any description, began to occur 1996 when Robert Mugabe said we will not have the homosexual lesbians at this book fair. And then later they started taking for land reform to give land back to the brothers and sisters who fought for freedom for Zimbabwe. And they were trying to buy the land back from Britain. And Britain said, no, you can't buy it back, even though they already had a written agreement that he could buy it back at market value. That is where his problem started. So the U.S., Britain, and the European nations all boycotting Zimbabwe and putting sanctions on them is, by every account, what has led to Zimbabwe's fall. And Barack Hussein Obama goes before the world and tells, it's not even a dispute, a bold-faced lie to tell black people around the world that everything that the West is doing to black people is black people's fault anyway. He been there a year, so, you know, let's say he just had a rocky road maybe, you know. Sometimes you step in and you don't do things perfect at first. You got to get your feet wet. Now that his feet are wet, he been there a year, a so-called earthquake. Now, when was the last time an earthquake hit some of the islands? What do islands usually have? Hurricanes. They're right on the water. I don't know. Does anybody remember an earthquake in the islands ever? All of a sudden, an earthquake in the islands, and I'm just going to mention this. A year before, I had read an article that they had found in Port-au-Prince oil reserves, by their description in the article, that they said would make Venezuela look laughable. Now, anybody that knows how much oil Venezuela produces would understand what that means. But to the point, let's say we're going to agree. It was an earthquake, okay? It was an earthquake in Haiti, killing our brothers and sisters, leaving them in the rubble, dying. And so we know he's going to stand up right with this one, right? A black nation, the only independent African nation in the Western Hemisphere. First black president who's really a mulatto. But we're going to say black president. He got to do the right thing, right? He's going to appoint Ron Daniels, of course, right? That brother's always working with Haiti. Maybe the brother Randall Robinson from Trans-Africa, somebody who really cares about Haiti, to be in charge of the rebuilding of Haiti, right? Who does he appoint? The butcher of New Orleans. How do you appoint? 2005, they blew up levees and drowned black people, and we watched as they killed and allowed our people to starve and die in New Orleans. Everybody remember that? And he's going to go to Bush, whose family makes their money off of the contracts that they get going into countries after they've been savaged and ravaged and doing the security and the reconstruction of those nations. The vultures and Bill Clinton. So here we go. Maybe that's not that bad. Okay, we'll say, you know, he just don't know who to pick, so he did what all the other presidents did. His record not looking too good to me, but all right, let's say, you know, it's a year and a few months now. Let's see what he's going to do now. Now, he goes to Libya. And it says here, March 30th, Obama authorizes secret help for the Libyan rebels. President Barack Obama has signed a secret order authorizing covert U.S. government support for rebel forces seeking to oust Libyan leader Muammar Gaddafi, government officials said to Reuters on Wednesday. Now, for brothers and sisters, we're not trying to do a history lesson or political lesson. Let's leave all of that out. I'm not going to say why that was relevant to black people, except I'm going to show you, not tell you. The U.S. and the white world government financed these so-called rebel Arabs to overthrow Libya. Many of our people don't know thousands upon tens of thousands of black people live in Libya. And under Muammar Gaddafi, they had jobs. Many of them were from different African countries. They were there working, living a peaceful life, making it in Libya. Also, when the Arabs came and originally invaded, there's still African communities of the original African inhabitants in Libya that are in Libya. I'm going to show you, this is very graphic and it's very serious. We left out the worst stuff, but to give you an idea of what the Arabs who are paid by Barack Obama administration are doing to the black people that look like me and you in Libya today. And not only did they do it in Libya, right now they've left Libya and they're going into Mali, murdering black people and taking the land and calling it their new country. This Arab group, financed by this nation and other nations, is exterminating black people in North Africa. I can show you better than I can tell you. And they are being financed and supported militarily by who? That's right.
Can you tell us what is the conditions like in this camp?
Recently now, the recent problem now in this camp is we are not safe because yesterday night we saw some Libyans, 5 of them. They came with some healers. Then they were moving from tent to tent, bringing out their knives and guns that they want to rape our girls. So the Nigerian and other nationalities here, they had to gather and they drove them away. So now there's nothing like that.
So 9 African men are shoved into a gatehouse, arrested by anti-Gaddafi forces.
These are Gaddafi fighters. Gaddafi fighters.
They're terrified, sweating, praying, some are crying. They're convinced they're going to be shot. They keep whispering to us, stay here with us, stay here, please. Celebratory gunfire increases their terror.
And at the end of this smoke-filled street, an intersection littered with bodies. I count a dozen, a grisly tableau of urban warfare. The victims' hands bound behind them. The rebels say they were executed by Gaddafi's men. But these bodies appear to be black Africans, raising questions about whether the men were executed by the rebels.
Libyan boat carrying up to 600 people trying to flee the violence-torn country has reportedly sunk off the coast of North Africa. It follows an earlier report of 61 migrants from Libya dying from thirst and hunger on another vessel which had been adrift in the Mediterranean for over 2 weeks. Witnesses say NATO deliberately ignored the boat's mayday calls.
After weeks on the run, thousands of black Libyans driven from their homes during the revolt against Muammar Gaddafi find refuge of sorts in a camp in Benghazi. In just 2 weeks, the camp has grown to nearly 3,000 people. Some are still hungry.
My gun to my enemies, one squeeze and we done. I rise like the sun with my guard and my gun. I walk with them hand in hand like father and son. My God told me stand strong, never taught me to run. My gun to my enemies, one squeeze and we done. I'm praying as I'm spraying automatics, never laying down to the cracker. I'm attacking all Caucasians, bullets make you drop like Salat. All limbs I'm blazing, arm, leg, arm, head. Allah is the greatest, got no love for the sand cracker, the slave trading rapist. If you think I don't know the truth, you sadly mistaken. 600 AD, the Arab invasion of the African continent. Man, the battle station start the African jihad. The time to start chasing, yeah, you really gon' need God. AR's arms, aiming, hand to guard, can't reach y'all. Chaos cause changes, freedom fighters could never die. We all God's angels. I rise like the sun with my guard and my gun. I walk with them hand in hand like father and son. My God told me stand strong, never taught me to run. My gun to my enemies, one squeeze and you done. I rise like the sun with my guard and my gun. I walk with them hand in hand like father and son. My God told me stand strong, never taught me to run. My gun to my enemies, one squeeze and you done. I ain't forget about you. Get 'em. They insured the ships, they paid for the whips, they funded the expeditions, they paid for the trips, and they talk about genocide, they funded our Holocaust, they screaming out Mazel Tov from throwing the Molotov.
So now we see, in very real terms, see, now it's not only the whites, but they have joined forces with the Arabs to do what? I'm going to say it again. The whites, under the leadership here of this administration under Barack Hussein Obama, have joined forces with the Arabs to do what? But we ain't going nowhere. That's right. I like that. I know it's hard to watch what we just saying, but we need to understand. Again, remember we said if we could talk to our brothers and sisters around the world, if we were talking to our Libyan brothers and sisters, they could tell us, yo, these Arabs are over here murdering us. Maybe we could reach out and find ways that we can assist them, just like we're going to be needing some assistance in these short days to come. But look, we told you, he hit you with that left jab, then he hit you with that right. Now he back to his jab, because come back right a month later, go to the Congressional Black Caucus, right? Now he back on American shores. Now, let's see what he got to say to the black folks that voted for him, 90%, to put him in office. Doesn't it make sense for us to see what he got, what he thinks about them? Let's take a look and see what he has to say to the black folks that voted for him and loved him.
So I don't know about you, CBC, but the future rewards those who press on. With patient and firm determination, I'm going to press on for jobs. I'm going to press on for equality. I'm going to press on for the sake of our children. I'm going to press on for the sake of all those families who are struggling right now. I don't have time to feel sorry for myself. I don't have time to complain. I'm going to press on. I expect all of you to march with me and press on. Take off your bedroom slippers. Put on your marching shoes. Shake it off. Stop complaining. Stop grumbling. Stop crying. We are going to press on. We've got work to do.
Oh, I mean, look, I could just see the small hat sitting in the room. Hey, no, you know what I want you to tell them? Look, you know the black women, you know, they like wearing the flip-flops these days. Tell them something about take off the flip. No, don't call them flip-flops. Bernstein, don't call them flip-flops. Say bedroom slippers. Tell them, yeah. And then Obama sitting there, yes, sir, boss. All right. And what else would you want me to say? And tell them, put on marching shoes. Yeah, this is going to be great. You go out there and tell them that. And now listen, I want you to imagine this, see if you can imagine this. Imagine him going and saying, I want you to take off your yarmulkes. Put your matzo balls back in your pocket. The Holocaust happened 50 years ago and you guys are rich. Stop complaining. Stop grumbling. We got work to do. Man, that fool have been hanging from the highest tree. Man, that fool be broke. Every bad thing he ever done. He don't do that, do he? Or imagine him tell the homosexuals, stop complaining. You're the one bending over. You shouldn't have nothing to complain about. That ain't how he talk to them, though. But when he come to black people, first he talking about what he gonna do. I'm gonna do all this stuff, but then when it come to us, take off your bedroom shit. Stop complaining. Boy, sometimes people tell you what you want to know. And then the most ugliest thing we can talk about is what he's doing in Africa. The AFRICOM, a base in almost every country in Africa, setting up full-scale warfare and extermination of black people on the African continent, preparing for European resettlement, invasion, and theft of the resources. And they have joined forces with the Arabs that they put in control to exterminate our people. All under this administration. So brothers and sisters, that's pretty much the portion that we're going to do about the things that don't have anything to do with the sexuality. Now we can really start talking about why he was put in office. Y'all ready? Y'all still with me? I ain't put you to sleep, did I? All right, so y'all want to see why he was really put in office. Now look, I don't want to hurt nobody's feelings, but we got to get down to who this guy really is and what this is all about. Y'all ready? Remember we said their full objective is to do what? To commit genocide against black people, but we ain't going nowhere. Well, let's see what this whole thing about Barack Hussein Obama pushing his homosexual agenda is all about. First, we got to go back to Jeremiah Wright's church, Trinity Unity Church of Christ. Remember him? He said, God damn America. This place, they said, man, that brother is fire and brimstone, right? I said, man, that's a hardcore, that's one of them fiery black preachers. Let's get the real story now. Real story? Black people were leaving the church, going to the Nation of Islam and the Hebrew Israelites back in the 90s because they felt like it wasn't enough black strong talk in the church and it wasn't dealing with the relevant issues. So they said, we got to find a way to keep people in the church. And many of the fire and brimstone Christian preachers of the 50s and 60s, them some serious brothers. They may have been Christian, but they wasn't walking around talking about turn the other cheek. Them brothers picked pistols, you know, deacons of defense. These some serious brothers. They had what they call liberation theology, meaning we can believe in Jesus or whatever, but we also believe in our gun too. And we're going to protect our families. So our God and our gun. That's right. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, brother. That's it. Yes, sir. So they said, look, Reverend Wright, we need you to come in here and do something to stop all the members from leaving. So he started adopting liberation theology. That's why you hear him talking in that stuff. So, okay, we understand where that came from. Nothing wrong with that, if that's what keeps the people going. But in the 1990s, what was he really doing? What did he stand out for doing? Remember, this is the same church Oprah Winfrey goes to. That should tell you something. This is in Chicago. This is a 1990 sermon. Not 1990, but in the 1990s. I refuse to limit my God, to lock God into my cultural understandings because culture is fickle. Now, he black, so I'm assuming he's talking about black culture is fickle. And culture can often be wrong. Culture was wrong about slavery. Culture was wrong about women. Culture was wrong about Africans and Native Americans. I guess that he's saying white culture is wrong about that. And culture was wrong about Christ. I've been the pariah among many of my clergy colleagues who somehow see me as defective or not quite saved because I won't join them in their homophobic, gay bashing, and misquoting of Scripture. In other words, early in this hardcore push to effeminize and homosexualize the black race, he was one of the early preachers that had joined board and was fighting, and the black preachers didn't know the agenda yet. The money wasn't being spent yet to pay the preachers to tell our people that homosexuality was okay. So the brothers was like, nah, we not agreeing with this. He was already on board with the homosexual thing back in the early 90s. Went so far as to support, are y'all listening? A gay ministry in his church. In other words, I don't want to say you. So let's say the other you. Not you, because if I say you, one brother be like, brother, don't you ever call me gay. So listen, not you, but like them you. You gay, right? I'm pointing to the window. I don't want no brothers get up here and start throwing. Brother got his walkie-talkie. He look like he about to throw it at me from the back. You gay, right? You want to hook up with another dude that has sex. You go to the church to do it through the ministry. You a lesbian female, lost your African mind. You want to have sexual relation with a female. I know she cry. You right, little lady. She crying. She said, that's crazy. That's my baby. She know right and wrong. Now, they go through the church to hook up and say this whole church structure, a Trinity Unity Church of Christ, is a homosexual haven for homosexuals in Chicago. That's where he comes out of. Now, want to show you a real quick clip because I want you. She don't like this homosexual stuff. I'm with you. I'm crying on the inside too, baby girl. I want to show you this from 2004 to show you how they marched this thing in on us. At that time in 2004, people weren't on board with gay marriage, but they had gotten people to accept homosexuality. So he played it really politically cool. He said he was against gay marriage, but he was in favor of homosexuality.
I'm going to ask you a very quick follow-up question. Do you believe homosexuality is a choice?
No, I don't.
You think it's innate?
I think that for the most part it is innate. I think that obviously it may vary in certain circumstances, but I think that it is something that is a part of their identity. Now,
that being the case, Mr. Obama, that being the case, if something is not a choice, if something is innate, then why isn't it a civil right? And why isn't your support of civil unions as opposed to marriage? Does that amount to separate but equal?
No, I think there are a whole host of things that are civil rights, and then there are other things, such as traditional marriage, that I think express a community's concern and regard for a particular institution.
So marriage is not a civil right as far as you're concerned?
I don't think marriage is a civil right, but I think that being able, but I think that being able to transfer property is a civil right.
You think marriage is a human right?
I think not being able to, not being discriminated against is a civil right. I think making sure that we don't engage in the sort of gay bashing that I think has unfortunately dominated this campaign, not just here in Illinois, but across the country, I think is unfortunate. And I think that that kind of mean-spirited attacks on homosexuals is something that the people of Illinois generally have rejected.
Bottom line is, his position was, I'm against gay marriage, but I'm for homosexuality. Everybody having rights and all this stuff. So they walked him in the office real cool, said, don't put the gay marriage thing on him yet, because that'll be too much for the black community. But then, something happened.
I'm going to ask you a very
Now, I'm going to show y'all a clip now. Y'all ain't going to get mad at me, are you? You sure? Now, I'm not asking you to believe what you're about to hear. That's not why I'm showing you the clip. You may or may not believe what you're about to hear. That's not the important piece of this clip. All right. So-called black first president, right? Running for office. He's running against the Republican Party. Okay? So you would expect that the Republicans spending millions of dollars to go against him, if they get anything that they can use to try to win the election, they would use it, right? So if they found out he has stolen money, then Fox News should be showing everything they can to slander him since it came out he stole money, so that the world would know he was a thief, to try to make the whites not want to vote for him, right? Isn't that what politicians do? All right. Well, I'm not asking you got to believe what you're saying, but this did happen. I can verify for an absolute fact CNN, ABC, all of the major networks or their affiliates were there at this press conference. The National Press Club on F Street. Everybody know what I'm talking about, right? Where everybody that's doing something nationally wants to announce what they're doing. The 14th Street, right there. This is less than 6 months before his vote for the president of the United States. This was done at the National Press Club with all of the media there, and most people in this room ain't never heard nothing about what you about to see. It's public information. It's on YouTube in its entirety, so you can see the whole thing, and it was never used by the Republicans to prevent him from winning this election.
To Mr. Mutani, and I was introduced to Senator Obama by name. Later that evening in a bar which I believe was called Alibis, and I state believe because I have failed so far to get Citigroup to provide the credit card receipts that has the actual name. I mentioned I could use a line or two to wake up. Senator Obama asked me if I was referring to Coke, and I stated I was. After stating I was, Obama stated he could purchase cocaine for me and then made a telephone call. This too is significant, from a cell phone to a presently unknown individual, during which Senator Obama arranged the cocaine purchase. Senator Obama and I then departed the bar in my limousine and proceeded to an unknown location where Senator Obama exited the limousine with $250, which was provided to him by me. Returned a short while later with an 8-ball of cocaine, which he gave to me. I did ingest a couple of lines of cocaine, and shortly thereafter, Senator Obama produced a glass cylinder pipe and packet of crack cocaine from his pocket. Obama then smoked the crack cocaine. I performed fellatio on Senator Obama in the limousine during the time Senator Obama was smoking crack cocaine, after which I had the driver take me to my hotel, the Comfort Suites, Gurnee, Illinois. The following day, November 7th, 1999, Senator Obama appeared at my hotel room, unannounced, uninvited, where we again ingested cocaine, and I again performed fellatio on Senator Obama.
That's a little part of the press conference. Again, I'm not asking you, do you believe it or not? Is there any way possible you are running against this guy? He black in America, so so-called black, even though we know he really a mulatto because he came out that white womb, but he looked black. Somebody did a press conference at the National Press Club talking like this, and you don't use your airwaves to show that to people to get the votes in your favor, unless this whole thing was rigged from the beginning. Is that a reasonable? How many people in here never heard what you just heard before just now? Raise your hand. That's your first time. For the record, brothers and sisters who are not here, it's 90% of the room. Meaning, we know now how controlled the media is. Because it doesn't even matter if it's true or not. Does this steal an election from anybody that's running for office? Or even a local election? You can't even get a little community board thing with something like this come out on you, much less a presidency of the United States. It gets much worse than this, but we want you to understand, oh, it's much worse than this. We want you to understand, I'm not going to show you, but this guy is a flaming homosexual. And he believes in this thing not because it's a political platform. This is who and what he is. Which now should make a whole lot more sense to you why the things that are happening. But let's show you so you don't just think the only thing he did with homosexuals is that one little thing that we saw. I want you to really get a full weight of what he's doing with this homosexual agenda. So can we start plowing through this and look at this homosexual march against our race? Let's go and look at the legislation. Right before he gets in office, the United Nations wanted to vote because all the black nations around the world, the Arab nations, was like, we against homosexuality. The white nation said, no, we're going to make every nation around the world accept homosexuality. And we wanted all the nations to sign. All the black nations, the Arab nations said, no. The white nation said, we don't care what you say. We agree to it. And America said, we're not going to sign just yet. This is December 2008. Why they didn't sign just yet? Bush was in office. If they're going to push homosexuality on the black nations of the world, do they want Bush to try to do it? Who they want to do it? Somebody that looked like him. So they waited a few months, and then June 2009, 6 months after in office. This is on whitehouse.gov. You can go there and see it right now. Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, and Transgender Pride Month 2009. By the President of the United States of America. This is a proclamation. My administration has partnered with the LBGT community to advance a wide range of initiatives. At the international level, I have joined efforts at the United Nations to decriminalize homosexuality around the world. I mean, we're going to force everybody to accept it. Here at home, I continue to support measures to bring full spectrum of equal rights to LGBT Americans. Now, therefore, I, Barack Obama, President of the United States of America, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Constitution and laws of the United States, do hereby proclaim June 2009 as Lesbian, Gay, Bisexual, Transgender Pride Month. This is on whitehouse.gov. Official. Let's keep it going. 6 months in, he did that. By the next year, his push to make African nations accept homosexuality was so bad that the brothers and sisters on the continent started fighting back. They were like, this guy has lost his African mind. Maybe he's more like his white mama than he is like his black African father. Why is he obsessed? Matter of fact, that's the language they use. This is Brother Martin Semper. He came out in Uganda and said, sodomy is neither the change we want, nor can we believe in. Because they found that the homosexuals were going around recruiting children into homosexuality, giving them videos, teaching them how to do homosexuality, recruiting them, buying them computers and showing them pornography. And they said, hey, y'all are talking our children here in Uganda. Get these homosexual stuff out of here. And he went as far as to say, Barack Hussein Obama has an obsession with the spread of sodomy in Africa. So the African nations were like, yo, maybe we went too fast thinking that this guy should be the president. By March 2010, he steps it up. He appoints Amanda Simpson. That's a dude. A transgender dude. Yeah. This skeevy, man. He's skeevy, man. He not right. Call him the big skeevy. He get this is a dude, the senior technical advisor to the Commerce Department. How do you appoint a transvestite to anything? You point them to a clinic to get some assistance, but you definitely do not appoint. I'm not trying to be funny, but like a dude that think he a woman or a woman that think he a dude, they got a lot more problems than they need to be running anything. They need some institutionalization and help. How do you appoint them to a position of power anywhere? He's stepping it up. He's showing he's a soldier. Here's where it gets. You talking about skeevy. You talking about real insidious. When they were doing their research, what they found is the number one deterrent from young children of accepting homosexuality. Guess what it is? Anybody can take a wild guess? Nah, that's good. Healthy mother and father is a good guess. That's not it. Bully. Say it again. Bully. They said particularly in the black community. If you call amongst children with no adults around, if they call you gay, you gotta go ahead and fight. Like, ain't nobody want to be gay. That's real homo. That's why they had a little thing. Young brothers, no homo. You know, you say something, hey, that's a nice shirt, dude. No homo. It's like for children, the worst thing in the world you can do is be homosexual. So they like, well, no, we gotta make the children homosexual. So they said, how can we do it? So they start creating laws that essentially criminalize children if you say anything against somebody for being gay. Under the guise, they call them bullying laws. It don't have nothing to do with, we done dealt with bullies since the beginning of time. I mean, bully's just part of life. It's a bully. It's somebody less bully. That's how you gain character in life. You got to stand up to the bully one day, and now you feel good about yourself, and the rest is history, right? That's just pretty much everybody's life. Nah. But in order to force the little black girl, the little black boy to accept this gay stuff that they giving them, now they are taking away the children's rights to resist homosexuality. And let's listen what they create.
Like all of you, I was shocked and saddened by the deaths of several young people who were bullied and taunted for being gay, and who ultimately took their own lives. As a parent of 2 daughters, it breaks my heart. It's something that just shouldn't happen in this country. And we've got to dispel this myth that bullying is just a normal rite of passage, that it's some inevitable part of growing up. It's not. We have an obligation to ensure that our schools are safe for all of our kids. And to every young person out there, you need to know that if you're in trouble, there are caring adults who can help. I don't know what it's like to be picked on for being gay, but I do know what it's like to grow up feeling that sometimes you don't belong. It's tough. And for a lot of kids, the sense of being alone or apart, I know it can just wear on you. And when you're teased or bullied, it can seem like somehow you brought it on yourself for being different or for not fitting in with everybody else.
We get it?
What I want to say is that...
Do we all get it? Can I just go ahead to the next slide now?
You didn't do anything wrong.
You see it? You see the Slick Willie in him, right? If you're listening to him, and when you get the DVD, we'll play the whole clip, but I think I'm saying people get the point now. He's talking to children, and he's talking to the homosexuals, and he's saying basically, we want you to be homosexual. And we're going to be teaching you with the books and all this stuff to be gay, and we're going to prevent anybody from teasing you or harming you if you want to come this direction. Now, taking away the power from the parent, who is not there anyway amongst the children, but the children would do the parents' job, making them not accepted. Now there's nobody to protect the minds of the children once you let your children go into that school system. In fact, if they try to stand up, they will be expelled from the school for bullying. Anything they say about homosexuality being wrong, they are criminalized now. Children are criminalized for having morals, morality, and ethics. But it gets more deep. I'm going to let you hear this clip because I'm telling you about how bad it was in Uganda. But by December 2010, it got so bad in Uganda that they said, forget this. We're going to create a law. Any male who rapes an underage boy, we're giving them the death penalty. Now, a grown man that molests an underage boy is a what? Pedophile and a homosexual. So they were targeting pedophile to get him killed. But the United States and the white nation spun it and called it the Kill the Gays bill. Because he is gay if he messing with a little boy instead of a little girl. So now they went around the world telling Uganda's trying to kill the gays, which some people wouldn't care what they trying to do. It's their country, do what they want to do. But the idea is they saying, oh, this is crimes against homosexuals. And the Uganda saying, no, it's crimes against people that's raping children. Even though they are homosexuals too, the fact that they rape a child, we're going to give them the death penalty. And for homosexuals, we're going to put them for crime in jail. So in order to destroy them, now they're threatening their nation. Now the Ugandans start standing up. And this is David Bahati, who's saying, yo, we trying to protect our nation. Listen to what he's saying, kind of money and effort is being spent in Uganda to promote this.
I have heard a lot of other people ask you for evidence on this. I have heard you assert that it is fact. I have never, as I said, seen any evidence that is fact. How, for example, do you suggest that children are recruited into homosexuality? If you wanted to recruit somebody into homosexuality, how would you do it? And what do you think the tactics are?
I can tell you that in the last 7 months, there has been a lot of investment in terms of money. Close to $15 million has been invested to fight the bill, but also to recruit children. And this is how they do it. They go into a school, they recruit some people, teach them, entice them with money, to lure them into this practice. And this is something that is disturbing everybody. This is something that disturbs, and I'm sure you're also being disturbed about this fact.
To be clear, sir, you're saying that $15 million is being spent in Uganda in the past 7 months, not only to oppose the bill, but to give money to teachers to go into schools to pay kids to become gay. That's your assertion? Not to pay teachers, but to use, they recruit young people. They pick on young people, recruit them, teach them on how to move, entice them. There are videos that have been moving around. Tell them that a man sleeping with a man is okay. So this is something that is really disturbing. And this is the focus of this bill, to protect our children. This is also
to defend the traditional family.
Sir, this is also one of the... I didn't expect to find much international commonality around.
So now the African nations start, I mean, when I say uniting, this is the one thing that the African nations have started to agree on. We're going to stop the push of this homosexuality in Africa. But guess what? This homosexual march coming from the Obama administration hadn't stopped. Then it goes to December, same month. He rescinds, don't ask, don't tell. So now you can just be openly gay in the military, opening up the doors for militant homosexuality. But you didn't know about this? WhiteHouse.gov is right there for you. February 2011. Been in office 2 years now. Let me just go ahead and come out what he's coming out with. They invite 60 African-American, lesbian, gays, bisexual, and transgender student leaders, what they call the future leaders of Black America, to the White House. You can find us on WhiteHouse.gov to organize them. And basically they're saying, look, we're going to put you guys in position to control the community. You got to make sure that you plow forth and make homosexuality acceptable. I don't know if y'all know, they just had the Congressional Black Caucus conference in town this weekend. Guess what? One of the new, you know, when they have their different meetings, breakout meetings, guess what one of them is? Promoting LGBT. I was there yesterday. I walk and see it. Got a whole panel of homos. What's the dude that be doing the hip hop stuff with the long locks? Jeff somebody? Cousin, yeah, Jeff Johnson, yeah, are that the same person? Yeah, Cousin Jeff there on the panel. Yeah, not brother, no, not to be mistaken with brother, no, don't get it confused. You might get hurt if you get it confused with brother Jeff. That Cousin Jeff, that's the other Jeff. You know, that's the other Jeff, like the other white meat, that's the other Jeff. Keith Boykin, gay boy, I mean, just a bunch of homos flopping around. But now, it is part of the black congressional agenda to promote homosexuality to black people, sponsored by the White House administration. March 2011, now they say, you know what, the African nations are fighting. We're going to really turn up the heat. Here's Barney Frank, gay boy up in Massachusetts, introduced a bill saying we're going to cut financial aid to Uganda over this anti-pedophile bill, what they call an anti-homosexual bill, which they call the Kill the Gays bill. Since the Ugandans have said, if you rape our children, we're going to put you to death, they said we're going to cut their aid. Talking about hundreds of millions of dollars. Now they can't feed their people and do anything unless they accept homosexuality and pedophilia in their nation. Gets even worse, though. April 2011. In Haiti, land of the killers, land of the black warriors, land of the freedom fighters, Boukman Dutty, John Jacques Dessalines, Christophe, home of the irritated genie and the spirit of black revolution. Had some fag boy running for president, was not going to win. This little faggy entertainer dude named, they call him Sweet Mickey, named Michael Martelli. This him on his magazine. I mean, just a little super gay boy, got the skirt and this. See him? This him is, I mean, a straight fag. The people, he's a funny entertainer, but he wasn't a politician who goes in and makes sure that he wins the election and becomes the president of Haiti. Obama administration. Here you see Martelli right here. Fool had a daggone pink campaign. A black male, it was one of them mulattoes that they talk about in the Haitian Revolution that always sided with the whites against black people. One of the, you know, them throwback fags. He not like one of those, you know, when you used to do the, what we call it, when you slap a fag around. What we used to call it? Fag bashing? You know how you used to do when we was young, a faggy, and then you start throwing rocks at him, slap him around. Straighten up, be a man, you know. He ain't one of them, yeah, he ain't one of them sissies, one that you could go fag bash him. This type of fag, you smack him, he gonna stab you and take you in the alley, do something hard. I mean, he's a hardcore, mulatto, homo, vile Uncle Tom that they put in office in Haiti. They got this flaming homosexual in Haiti now, and this is the bad news, brothers and sisters. I'm just telling you the truth. They are systematically, I'm not talking about one or two, they're raping the boys in Haiti and the young teenage boys. It's systematic. The best example I can give you, if there's 200 boys in the neighborhood, 150 of them getting raped. The 50 of them that get away are just the ones that get away. What they're doing in Haiti now is I can't even put words on it. And we're not getting the message back because it's hard for the communication to come back and forth. And the people who are brave enough to say it can't get here. And the people who do get here are not brave enough to tell us what's going on. But I'm telling you what's happening. The UN troops, the U.S. troops, they're raping the boys. They're raping the girls, too. I mean, that kind of goes with the territory. I'm not saying it's okay, but I'm saying if I say they're raping the boys, you know that means they're raping our sisters and daughters, too. But I'm saying they're systematically, intentionally raping the boys to turn them out, to kill the future of African people. June 2011, Barack Obama supports the UN Human Rights Council resolution. What is this? Today, for the first time in history, the United Nations adopted a resolution dedicated to advancing the basic human rights of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender persons. The United States stands proudly with those nations that are standing up to intolerance, discrimination, and homophobia. As the United Nations begins to codify and enshrine the promise of equality for LGBT persons, the world becomes a safer place, more respectful and more humane place for all people. In other words, no matter what the Arab nation wants, particularly no matter what the African nation wants, no matter what they want for their culture, they will either accept homosexuality or they will be invaded and overthrown and be forced to accept homosexuality and the rape of their children. It is now a political military mandate under the Barack Hussein Obama administration. Matter of fact, it's Barack Insane Obama administration. The Barack Insane Obama administration. Move forward. August 2011. $350 million rescinded aid money to Malawi dependent on complicity in homosexual rights agenda. Let's read this article. August 5th, 2011, the small African nation of Malawi is at the forefront of efforts by Western governments to withhold aid for basic services in order to impose a homosexual agenda on unwilling developing nations. This year, close to $350 million of U.S. financial aid was rescinded due to amendments in the country's penal code criminalizing sodomy. In other words, they said homosexuality is illegal in our country. When they did that, the U.S. pulled back $350 million. Ultimately, Malawi acquiesced to bring its sodomy laws in line with those of the quote-unquote progressive West, but not without grave concerns about the new cultural imperialism on the issue. The first imperialism, the first major white offensive, slavery in Africa, stealing the people. Second one, colonialism, coming in, exploiting the resources, raping, murdering the people. Third major offensive, the homosexual imperialization, sexual violation and destruction of the people to take their soul and then exterminate them and move in and take their continent. Being led by a brown face that came out of a white womb named Barack Insane Obama. You know, in D.C. we call it B-A-M-A, we call it Obama. So we had to call him the Obama, you know. December 2011. You like that? Brother said he liked that name, Insane Bama. This Bama's insane. Yes, sir. December 2011. The Obama administration is announcing a wide-ranging effort to use U.S. foreign aid to promote gay rights for lesbians abroad. It goes further. The presidential directive applies to all U.S. agencies involved in foreign aid, assistance and development, including the Department of State, the Department of Treasury, the Department of Defense, and the Department of Homeland Security. Meaning money, military, commerce, all of the power of the United States and the Western world governments, the full weight of it is being invested in the homosexualization of black people throughout the world through an agenda called gay rights and human rights. And the face of it is Barack Insane Obama. September, this month, they just came out with their first publication to say, this is what we're doing. It's called the Born Free and Equal. The UN Human Rights Office has released a new publication on sexual orientation and gender identity and international human rights law. So now they've internationalized it. It's not, you don't have your own law in your own country no more. The law is their law, which is you will accept homosexuality all around the world. So brothers and sisters, are we clear on the record and who Barack Insane Obama is at this point? Well, this is our last slide, and then we're going to say a few words, and we're going to go on and get out, get us something to eat, enjoy the rest of the time here, but do some talking and get ready for 2 weeks from now. Make sure if you came in today, you do not leave without getting an effeminization of the black male. We're giving them to you for free because the next lecture we do is we already have 4 editions. They're very tough. But what we're talking about 2 weeks from now is going to be so far past it that you got to have something under your belt. So just to make sure you got something, we giving you the first one. Please watch it before you come, because without that under your belt, you will not be able to handle what's coming from there. It's not beginner's level. It's very intermediate, what we're going to be discussing 2 weeks from now with this homosexual agenda. So please get that for anybody that doesn't have it. But now we're going to do our last slide to show you really who this guy is, where he came from, so that now it should be a full circle of comprehension of what this whole thing was all about.
As a young man sitting on a park bench with his grandfather and his grandmother, the Dunhams. Now, look at this picture very carefully on this park bench, because I want to tell you about another man who knew this same couple and who met them at that same park in Honolulu, Hawaii, years earlier. It was a man named Frank Marshall Davis. Here's his picture. Frank Marshall Davis. He was a writer, a novelist, a nonfiction writer, and well-placed in the Chicago Communist Jewish Black Network. Frank Marshall Davis. What is his connection with Obama? Well, Barack Obama, in his book, The Audacity of Hope, says that other than his mother, this Frank Marshall Davis taught him everything practically he needed to know. He taught me what I should think. He taught me my political ideas. Frank Marshall Davis was the mentor of young Barack Obama from the time he was a little boy all the way through his high school years. What do we know about Frank Marshall Davis? One of the things we know is that he used a pseudonym in writing. And one of the books he wrote, this is a picture of the cover. I'm not going to show it all to you because, well, I don't want you to see it all. It's too sordid. It was published by Greenleaf Press, by the way, a very liberal, pinko, pro-homosexual press. It was entitled Sex Rebel Black, written by Frank Marshall Davis, a member of the Communist Party USA. What does this book say? Sex Rebel Black by Frank Marshall Davis, who in his own autobiography, Barack Obama says was his chief mentor, his teacher of political ideas. You'll find that he says that he was so sexual that he loved to have swinging parties with white women, black men, white men. He was a bisexual, a homosexual. He says he only wished he was born with 2 sets of genitals. He was so full of sexual lust. But he also says that he met a certain white couple who were visiting Honolulu at the time. They had come over from Seattle, Washington. He met them while he was trolling the park for sexual partners. And so enthused they were with meeting Mr. Davis that they had decided to move to Honolulu, Hawaii.
This is the guy who was picked by Barack Obama's white grandfather, Stanley Dunham, to be Barack Obama's mentor. because, as we all know, Obama's father had abandoned the family. So Frank Marshall Davis, boy, this is a key guy in his life.
When I am president of the United States, gays and lesbians will have somebody who will fight for equal rights for them because they are our brothers and they are our sisters.
In 2008, our country elected a leader who not only acknowledged the LGBT community, but who embraced it.
I'm here with you in that fight.
Who counted us as friends.
I held some bilateral talks with your leader, Lady Gaga. She was wearing 16-inch heels.
We elected a man who understood our struggles.
I was shocked and saddened by the deaths of several young people who were bullied and taunted for being gay.
And who has pushed the nation forward towards equality.
It is important for me to go ahead and affirm that I think same-sex couples should be able to get married. I don't think there's been a single moment in which LGBT issues became important to me. I think it's an accumulation of a lifetime of friends and family, people I've gotten to know who have helped me understand how the fight for LGBT rights is consistent with that most important part of America's character, which is to constantly expand opportunity and fairness to everybody. We've seen a profound cultural shift just in the last decade, partly because folks are family now. This isn't a matter of strangers. These are people we love, people we care about. Since I came to Washington, first as a senator and ultimately as president, meeting people like Judy Shepard and not only hearing the heartbreaking tragedy of Matthew, but also the strength and determination she brought to making sure that never happens to young people anywhere in the country again. All the men and women in uniform who I've had a chance to meet who have served our country with such devotion, having to hide who they are in order to keep in uniform, those stories made me passionate about this issue.
That passion drove him to make more significant advances for LGBT Americans than any other president who came before him.
Gay rights groups are hailing it as a big victory. President Obama ordered any hospital that gets federal funding to give same-sex couples visitation and consultation rights.
President Obama getting ready to grant some benefits to same-sex partners of federal employees.
President Obama will sign a measure making it a federal crime to assault someone because of sexual orientation or gender identity.
No one in America should ever be afraid to walk down the street holding the hands of the person they love.
This is a triumph for not just members of the gay community, but for us as a civilization.
He appointed more openly LGBT people to his administration and confirmed more LGBT federal judges than any previous administration. And he knocked down a long-standing discriminatory policy within the U.S. military.
One of my proudest moments was when we were able to repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell. It was not an easy process. There were some who doubted whether we'd ever get it done. This is done. That day that we signed it was an emotional day. And to see not just folks who were active in the military, but to see veterans, some of them from the Vietnam War or the Gulf War, seeing the tears on their faces and understanding what it meant to them to be acknowledged was one of the most satisfying moments of my presidency.
We are not a nation that says, don't ask, don't tell. We are a nation that says, out of many, we are one.
And with that firm belief, he became the first sitting president to support marriage equality.
Truly historic and potentially watershed moment as President Obama comes out formally, publicly, enthusiastically in support of gay marriage.
No sitting president has ever done what Barack Obama did yesterday.
The President of the United States just said he stands fully with gay and lesbian Americans.
It's part and parcel of my overall belief that all of the LGBT couples that I meet across the country, their families, their children, their commitments to each other are as strong and as precious as anybody else's. Not only to preserve the gains that we've made over the last 3 years, but to make sure that any discrimination is eliminated, you're going to need a strong advocate in the White House. I am that strong advocate. We're going to continue to lean forward in making sure that whether it's the capacity to adopt hospital visitation, ending travel bans, making sure that benefits to spouses or partners are recognized at the federal level. We're just going to keep on making sure that the rights of same-sex couples are expanded. And it's not just a matter of head, it's a matter of heart. It's who I am. It's what I care about.
We know who he is now. Was that clear? Help me out. I really want to know for what you got today, the discussion, the information, the proof. Is it clear who Barack Insane Obama really is and why he was put in this position?
I don't think it's just clear. I think it's with crystals.
My brother said he got crystals on that clear. I like that, brother. It's not clear. Look, you know how you get nervous? Brother set me up good, too. He said, well, I don't know if it's clear. I said, oh, man. He said, I think it got crystals in it, too. Crystal clear. That's very important. So we are clear that his objective is to do what? Genocide. That's right. And we saying, but we ain't going nowhere. So that's why we here, brothers and sisters. So we're going to get this information out there. I'm going to end it with just 3 suggestions. Because people say, oh, you gave me all this information. What am I supposed to do with this? This one is easy. It's real simple. This is not even that difficult. Because we're not trying to do everything all in one day. But now that we know who this individual is, first thing, we got to get more intelligent and politically savvy. Only invest in elections where we stand something to gain. Let me say it again. I'm not even just talking about voting. Some people believe they should just vote just to vote. If that's your vote, that's no problem. Listen, I ain't say voting or not voting. I said invest, meaning energy, time, money, and expectations. When you really put an investment, it got to be a Marion Barry. For people that's not from Washington, D.C., you wouldn't understand what that means. For the poor people who never had anybody in their family ever go to college until he came, took over the economy of this city, and gave it to black people, 33% of the contracts were mandated for black contractors. If you didn't grow up in this area, you don't know what that means. But Adam Clayton Powell, a Marion Barry, you go out there, you vote for those people. Because when they get in, you can turn your back. They're going to fight for you every day, and when they need you, they'll call on you. All you got to do is be there for them. They'll be there for you. We don't make a whole bunch of those, but if you do get somebody and there's a reason to invest. Other than that, stop investing in hopeless hope just because somebody look like you or somebody smile at you or some white boy come up playing a horn and then you think he black. No more of that foolishness, brothers and sisters. Only invest in elections where we have something to gain. Second, focus on repairing the relationship between black men and women, males and females of all ages. The most important thing we can do as a race of people right now is figure out a way for brothers and sisters to stay together as families, not just families who are there to do nothing, but families who are there, who exist to ensure a future of our people, which means we got to fight these whiteys. And if that fight is just in your house, probably educating yourself and preparing yourself for the future, that's fine. If that fight is economic and starting a business, that's fine. It doesn't matter what it is. Ultimately, though, we got to resist them in order to survive. And the only way we can resist them is working together as black men and black women who understand whites are the enemy and we're not each other's enemy. If we continue the direction we're going, fighting each other, the black woman is going to kill the black man who is the only one that can physically go out there and fight the white boy. And the black man is already killing the black woman by rape and sexual abuse and abandonment. If we don't stop this stuff now and repair this relationship with our young sons and daughters, take it to the schools, do it in our homes, start protecting our children in those relationships, we're done as a race of people. So let's focus there. We don't have to worry about what to do with this election. The election's already been happening. It's not an election, it's a selection. He's in for a second time, and when I finish this slide, I'm going to tell you what they planning for him to do, and you'll understand why I'm saying these are the things we got to do. Thirdly, and lastly, share the Warren Horizon media. That's the DVDs And those do cost money. So if you got somebody that can't afford the money, that's okay. Get them on the radio. Tell them to listen to the radio station so they can get the information. The website is free. All they got to do is get there. The YouTubes is there. We got lots of information for people to look and see the information. The more of our people that get this, we think that our people are dead, but we're not giving them anything. Well, we got stuff for them now, but we need people to help us get the information out to people. We've felt that the information is so important. We made the brothers put together $300 to us and gave it out their pocket and said, brother, make DVDs. And we've been going around Southeast passing out the feminization of the black male so that brothers can get it and start saying, wow, we didn't know what's going on. We got to wake our people up, whatever it takes. So we saying, help us to do that. Get the word out. Get people listening to the radio station, black people. And, you know, so that we can try to wake our people up so that we can start organizing. It's very important that we get serious people around the world. Some of y'all brothers and sisters got brothers and sisters around the world, England, and places. Get them to go to the internet. They can listen to the show. They can make their comments and call in or send the emails so that we can talk internationally and share information so we can tell our people what's happening so we can begin to protect the investment for the future of our people. You get the light for me now because I want to finish just letting people know where this thing is going so you understand why I made it so important to say focus on repairing the relationship between black men and black women and males and females of all ages. I want to first thank brothers and sisters for coming out. Give yourselves another round of applause. Loud and proud. We glad you came out. We try to keep it short and sweet, but we wanted to give the real solid information so we know what happened. We didn't do this for Barack Obama. We did this because we got to start being smart and being able to see what's coming when things are happening. This, what we did today, was so that they can't do this to us again. We got to be smarter and invest in things that are going to help our people, real legitimate black people that are going to help us. Here's my prediction. Remember, this is a prediction. I could be 100% off. I can only say what we can see from where we're sitting. I'm telling you this because you understand why it's so important for us to start repairing the relationship between black men and women. I believe, not I'm certain, I believe that their objective with Obama is almost up. Meaning, the last thing I think that they want him to do is go to war with Iran. Once he decides to go to war with Iran, he's done everything they need him to do. The history of it is this. When they're done with their toms and their shufflers, then they destroy him. So there's a few things, options they're going to have, and I'll just tell you a few on the board. They can kill him and try to start some kind of uproar to justify coming in our communities and doing things to black people. That's one option. What I think they're going to do, and I just want everybody to hear these things, I think it's more important for them to destroy him. Because more importantly for our women now have already, the contract hadn't been signed, but they sitting at the table. And understand, I ain't talking about physically, literally, but I'm saying because there's no black manhood and because the media is the tool where our women are so tuned into and the media tells them to hate and destroy black men, our women are symbolically at the table with the contract for the destruction of the black race. And the white boy got the pen handed to her and she's grabbing the pen now. She ain't signed the contract 100%. This is what I think they're going to do because they wanted to sign in and say, we the white male and we the black woman together are going to destroy the black men. I know that sounds real crazy, but I'm telling you, I'm not making this up. There are groups of black women that are already organized saying their objective is to destroy black men. I mean, it's not a couple. They're organized to do this. And they state this what they're trying to do. They've created so much damage with the sexual abuse and the media and just everything, the hip hop and everything, that they're making our women hate us. Why? If you want to kill a race, even more than homosexuality, it's one thing to make them have sex with each other and change their mind. But if the two groups hate each other and will go to war and kill each other, that's it. What I think they want to do, since they haven't painted as this, and the reason I say that, you see all the pictures they show of him and her hugging, and you never see no president with his wife like that. Because, see, they're giving the message to black women, oh, this is beautiful relationship. Why? Because then your hopes are high, and you believe there's hope, so you still walking high. So that they can then come out with all the stuff they got. If you think, if I got access to this information on him being a homosexual, what do they got? They got the kind of stuff that you and me would be like, I'm not even going to listen to that stuff. They put that out before the world, and then it's not that the black women start hating him for being a homosexual. But the black man, forget about the black man who black woman, they already fighting. He lost, he done. That dude getting the police called on him. That dude getting put out the house. That dude getting shot. That dude getting, his son getting thrown out the window. I mean, the hatred for black men, when they come out with this dude being gay is one thing. But imagine the brother who got the perfect relationship with his wife. And she bought into this guy. And her husband, in her mind, is somewhat of a reflection of this black man. The relationship is great. But now if that guy on that level is a homosexual, what is her husband doing when he's saying he's going out to play basketball with the brothers? What is that? So the black male-female relationship becomes devastated. And then, I think, I could be wrong, just totally speculation, I'm just talking about moves on the chessboard. They come out with the fact she got AIDS. So who gave it to her? Him. He on the down low. So now, it develops a hatred and an animus in black women where they're not just, I'm sorry? It's any kind of way they could do it, but what they going to want to put it on is him so that they can do what? Now black women don't hate or fight the man they with. Now they want to kill him. And so now, like a magic wand, they will create the kind of warfare between black men and black women we ain't never, ever imagined in our life. And if you're a brother, I know the brothers know what I'm talking about. You already see it. Just dealing with, yeah, see, the brothers are like, yeah. See, the sisters have seen it for like 20 years because every song they listen to, you be, you hold, you this, that, and the other. So I don't have to sell that to them that we'll fight with them. All they got to do is go turn on the radio. They already got us fully invested in that. It's so, brothers say it's so thick, matter of fact, you might need a sledgehammer, it's so thick. It's like molasses thick. Stone molasses been sitting there for a year, it's like a stone. But man, what they're doing now is they're reversing it. They put us in the power through the music to disrespect our women and violate. Now, with that anger, they're giving it to the women on the other side, and I think they're going to use this situation. Probably, chances are, after they select him and he gets in, probably be the first divorce in the White House. To show that when you get black people, you can't have them up there. Because look how messy stuff gets, and all this stuff comes out to get us to a point as a race, we don't even want no black politicians. We like, I'd rather not even want a black person get up there because they, look at all he did. So I'm not sure. That's what I'm saying. What we need to do, first, divest out of this dude. Secondly, he ain't black, he's a mulatto. That way, he not no black man, that's a mulatto. And he ain't even straight, he gay. So don't call him a black, he ain't a man, that's a gay dude. So let the gays take whatever the women got the hatred for, not the real brothers. We got to start finding ways to push that out there and say he's a puppet for them. You know what I'm saying? And then we got to start repairing the relationship between black men and women. We start working on the relationship between black men and women, then what they intend to happen for us, we'll be fighting back. If not, we're looking at a very, very savage set of circumstances. So I wanted to let people know what's coming down the pike so that we know our job. Our job is to start every chance we get being the vocal point for saying the black man and the black woman is a great relationship and use whatever means we have to push that, because that's what we're facing now, the total, complete collapse of the relationship being a symbolic, positive thing for our race of people. So with that said, brothers and sisters, I want to ask you to come to the next lecture. We're going to do sexual warfare, blacks versus homosexuals. We're going to deal with the fact this is no longer an agenda. It is a full-scale war, and we got people fighting, but we're not organized around the world as black people to fight it, because if we get organized, this is a good thing. This is one battle we can win overnight. They can't make you homosexual unless the people amongst you agree to do it. It's more of us today than it is homosexuals. And it only takes a little bit of information in the minds of a black person who think they agree with it to understand the agenda, and they'll come back on the right side. We still got room to get this thing together and push the fag thing out. If we don't do it and we lose this battle, we lose all the battles. So we want you to come and check that out. I want to thank you for coming out. Appreciate you for being here. We love you, and we'll see you on the battlefield. War on the horizon. You gotta love it.
Ancestors paved the way.